Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Regia Marine Seismic Survey webinar series. Today is webinar 4, which is about our environmental assessments continued. My name's Matt Smith. I'm a consultant to CGG, who are the title holder for the Regia Marine Seismic Survey. I've been out in the community for the last 3 months or so. But today I'm back in Perth and looking forward to a couple of weeks leave actually coming up. So I'll talk to you now for about 15 to 20 minutes or so, and then there'll be some time for questions for those of the folks online. So what is the Regia Marine Seismic Survey? If you haven't come across the survey before, it's a seismic survey in the Otway region. The map there on the slide shows our activity planning area in pink and our environment planning area in green. Seismic surveys are a technology to explore for and map the subsurface of the ocean floor. And what we have to prepare is an environment plan, and that's the document that provides us the permission to undertake these activities. And it's a document where we make a series of predictions about our environmental impacts and risks, and demonstrate to our independent regulator that the impacts and risks will be of an acceptable level. We started the consultation on this activity back in February 2023 and was open until the 30th of June this year, which of course is a couple of days away. We have last month extended that consultation period by a month, mostly because we had a lot of feedback from the community about how we needed to take into account various different environmental values and sensitivities in our assessments. And we're actually going to extend today for a further month through to the end of August. And the reason for that is, again, we've had a lot of correspondence with a lot of people. And we need to take a bit more time to produce the impact assessments that we need to, and give people the opportunity to read those in full. So that consultation period is now going to be extended out to from 5 months to 7 months in total. The activity itself also, there's been a couple of changes there with those delays. So previously our earliest start date was the 1st of November 2023, and that's now likely to push back a little bit. And so we'll confirm what the earliest start date is soon, hopefully, but it's very much looking to be the earliest being the 1st of February is where we're currently thinking. And of course that's in 2024. And the environment plan that we're asking for permission for will be a 5-year duration beyond that. The survey itself, though, the vessel will be on the water for no more than 90 days, and the maximum acquisition is 60 days. But obviously we need the flexibility at this early stage to be able to plan that in any time within a 5-year period. On the slide, you'll see a couple of activity limitations that we've put in place as a result of the feedback we've heard in our environmental assessment process. So we've excluded surveying between May and October to avoid southern right whale presence. There is a reproductive, biologically important area along this coast, and so avoiding those months protects those species. We've put a 10.3 kilometre exclusion zone around Dean Mar, or Lady Percy Julia Island, and that is both for ecological and cultural reasons. And so that exclusion zone will mean there's no acquisition occurring in that region. We've also confirmed a water depth exclusion, so we will not be operating shallower than 40 metres, and that avoids impacts to key commercial species, in particular abalone and commercial divers for abalone as well in that zone. We've also excluded any vessel movements in the area between Dean Mar and the coastline, again for cultural reasons. There have been a few changes because of these exclusion zones, and the map, my next slide actually shows those in a little bit of a coarse way, but we're looking at an extension of the activity planning area out for about approximately 10 kilometres to the western side of this shape that you can see. So one of the queries we've had has been how much seismic surveying has been done in this area in the past. So on the slide, we've prepared a map, and these maps will shortly be released on our website, essentially showing where there has been 3D seismic surveys in the past, and these are all named and shown in the hashed boxes on the slide. The orange box here is the potential extension to the activity planning area that we're looking at. We're not 100% sure we're going to need that yet, but it's under consideration. And then the three kind of blue dotted boxes here are the kind of areas of interest for us primarily. So they're what we're working towards, and we're working on our acquisition areas and sale line plans to acquire these in the most efficient way possible. We are also looking at phasing the project. We realise that the environmental sensitivities give us a very small window to undertake seismic surveying, and it may be that the right thing to do is to actually acquire this survey over 2 separate years, or 2 or more separate years. It's not something we're prepared to commit to, or I can give you any more detail on just at the moment, but just to let you know, it is something that we're currently considering. The consultation process, as I said, has been ongoing for now nearly 5 months now, and so we have on the slide there, the process is outlined there, and we are now at the third phase, which will now last for 3 months, which is where we're preparing our environmental assessments. So that phase should end pretty soon, and we should publish the final 2 of our assessments within the next within the next few days. We'll also then in July publish all of our management and mitigation measures, and then in August there'll be an opportunity for people to raise objections or claims, and it's our opportunity to listen to feedback from the community before preparing our submission to NOPSEMA. At the time we make our submission, that doesn't mean that consultation ends, of course. Consultation will continue, where we refine the details of that consultation during NOPSEMA's assessment process. But we will be making a submission so that we can progress through that process in a timely manner in regards to our plans for the activity. This is just a quick slide to show what have we done so far. So there's been lots of consultation, and some of those listed on the slide there. We had a great session a couple of weeks ago, 2 great sessions actually, one in Apollo Bay, which you can see pictured, with a whole heap of people that identified themselves as relevant persons who we need to consult with, which was really, really great. And we also went and had our 3rd session in Port Fairy, which again was a fantastic session, met some new people there and heard some new concerns about what we're doing and some new sensitivities that we need to protect. So yeah, it's been a long consultation process by seismic survey standards, but it's been a really valuable one, and we've learned a lot from the community, and we'll continue to do that. There's lots of information up on our website, which is www.regiamss.com.au, and we'd really encourage anybody interested to have a look there and keep up to date with our plans, either through subscribing to our webinars or the monthly newsletters that we've been publishing. We also publish updates quite regularly on LinkedIn, Facebook and Instagram, and so please do have a look on those channels for anything new that's happening in our planning process for this activity. We have published all of our what's termed our initial information for people, so if you want to know nothing, the place to start really with information on our website is these 3 documents. So the description of the activity, the consultation engagement plan, and our preliminary impact and risk assessment. We have also published our decision-making criteria, so you can understand what we have defined as acceptable levels of impact and risk and how we've made those decisions. And also we've made reference to the 114 legislative instruments that we have to comply with, that we've been able to identify as relevant to this survey. And that document will tell you about how we plan to comply with each of those laws individually. We've also published our implementation strategy. This is the document that explains our environmental management system and the day-to-day details of kind of how we manage a survey when we're out on the water. It also details our monitoring and reporting requirements, both to ourselves within the subcontracting arrangements and obviously to NOPSEMA, the National Offshore Petroleum Safety and Environmental Management Authority, who are our regulator. We recently published our preliminary sound modelling report in full. Sound modelling is something that we do to understand exactly what levels of sound can be received by different species at different distances. And we put some thresholds in place again for what are acceptable levels of exposure. And we have identified with this modelling that there are some concerns for divers and swimmers in some locations. And we're working through those with dive operators and relevant persons to find ways of either protecting the individuals or in fact excluding our activities from those particularly high use areas. We've got a lot of content that's in the wings ready to go. So in the next few days, we will publish our fisheries assessment report, our final 2 impact assessments, our oil spill emergency plans, our operational scientific monitoring plans, our cultural heritage management plan, the marine mammal adaptive management plan, which is a really important one for people to understand how we protect all whales, but in particular southern rights and blue whales, and of course our cumulative impact assessment. The summaries, we're publishing a number of summaries, mostly because they've been requested by relevant persons. We have actually already published our 2-page summary on the effects of underwater sound on divers and swimmers. We've published a very short 1-pager on the sort of summary of how we protect marine mammals. We'll shortly publish summaries on the compensation that we'll put in place for commercial fishers. And we're currently undertaking a number of case studies looking at the long-term effects of seismic on commercial fishing in the region. I don't have an estimated time for delivery on those, but hopefully within the next few months prior to submission of the environment plan. There's a new page on our website as well, which we've been working on, which shares a thematic summary of what we've heard so far. And should demonstrate to people who are interested how we have adapted our plans as a result of the consultation that we've taken that's taken place to date. And we'll keep this page up to date as our planning progresses. And if you're new to the survey and new to the Regia activity, have a look at this page, because it may well be that there are certain concerns that you have that others have already addressed. And you can see how we are already adapting and changing as a result of that feedback. So what happens next? The consultation continues, of course. We keep searching for relevant persons, and that search continues all the way through our process until the end of the activity. We're now offering to undertake one-on-one or small group engagements on request. Most of those are happening online. I will be back out in the community in August. So if you're happy to wait till then, we can talk in August. And we'll continue to advertise on social media and continue to consult. Obviously, we will also continue with our environmental assessments, and we'll keep on adapting those whilst the public has their chance to comment and influence on what we've written and scrutinise what we've written. And so those are the things that are kind of the activities that are happening in the next month or so. Shortly on our activity, we will publish our acquisition areas and the active source areas and our operational areas. These are the narrowest framing of our activity. And we are currently considering implementing further exclusion zones. So we're looking at certain distances from coastlines. That's obviously specifically for divers and swimmers. We're doing a lot of analysis of the fishing data to understand if there are particularly productive fishing blocks that we should avoid. We're looking at whether or not we can put some exclusion zones plus buffers around the marine parks and marine sanctuaries at the state level. And we're also looking at some exclusion zones at different depths, both for the West Tasmanian canyons and some big Victorian canyons, but also the 400-metre water depth contour. There are also some additional things that we're currently working on. We've heard a lot about people wanting to know about testing of new technology, both in terms of the technology we use in acquiring the survey. So high frequency elimination of the sound source is one thing that we're looking at. We've heard a lot about whale detection technology. So whether that's underwater gliders or moored buoys or drones, we're looking at all of those and seeing what's feasible in our case. And it's possible we'll do some trials on those before the survey starts as well. We are looking at phasing the survey, as I mentioned earlier, and there may well be some buffers, some distance buffers around other petroleum activities. We've become aware of a number of different activities in the region that we'll have to work around. So it might be that we put some buffers in place. That's it for the webinar today. And if anybody's got any questions, then please feel free to ask them. Thanks for your time.